Our coverage, by the way, is brought to you by our friends at Panini America. Visit PaniniAmerica.net. They are, and that is, by the way, when we have the folks from Panini in here, they always talk about how the rookies are like the biggest. That's what everybody's interested in. So tonight's a big night for them. PaniniAmerica.net for all of your sports memorabilia needs and rare trading cards, etc. So, needless to say, there will probably be a pretty decent Texas flavor to the NFL draft. Now, there'll probably only be, the first round is tonight. They've now turned this into a 3-day made-for-TV event. The first round is tonight.
We're all the three-day event, right? I'm curious because Ish is the NFL fan here.
Sure.
He has a team.
Yeah.
He has a team. Neither you nor I have one, Tepper. How much of the draft do either of you watch?
I watch most if not all the first round.
Okay.
And then I'll come back when my team picks in the second round, second and third.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
I really don't pay attention to the later rounds, like to the third day really at all. Unless there's like this year I might, because like Keenan Brown from Texas State's going to be potentially picked that day. But I won't. I'm not glued watching that.
Right,
I'll wait for a Twitter update or I'll do something. But yeah, first round usually all of it, just because there's all the name players. Yeah. Second round, third round, it's still like significant contributors to your team, so I'll watch when they pick. But I definitely stick to Twitter on the last day.
I will be.
It will be on.
It will be on.
Right.
I will not be locked in.
Yeah.
Right.
It will have the same impact on my life as like Padres and Dodgers.
Yeah.
Right.
It's on.
Yep.
I'm not uninterested.
Yeah.
But I'm certainly not locking in.
I will take note of interesting things that happen.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Is that, for
There's
example,
a big trade. If somebody trades like if the Cardinals trade back and somebody gets Kyler Murray with the number 1 pick or something, right? Like then I'll be like, okay, let's
pay attention to this. But needless to say,
I will say I'm going to hope this first round tonight hurries up because I have endgame tickets. So,
you got Thanos tickets?
I got Thanos tickets. So
interesting.
Oh man.
So it's a movie about snapping?
Yeah.
It's like a sequel to West Side Story?
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Pretty much. Sharks versus Jets.
So let's per usual, there will be an influx of Texas high school football products who are selected in the NFL draft. I'm looking at this is CBS's. They've projected the whole draft, which is insane.
Yeah,
but they have projected the NFL draft, and they project 30 different high school players from Texas to be selected. Yeah. They only pick 2 to be selected in the first round, and they're kind of obvious. And I think they're ones that, at the very least, we knew one of them before the season. That's why we put him on one of the covers of the magazine.
Sure.
Ed Oliver from Houston, and of course from Spring Westfield, is going to go. If he is out of the top 5, something has gone terribly wrong, it seems like to me.
I mean, maybe, but I feel like top 5 is kind of a surprise right now. I feel like he's dropping back into that 15 range.
Man, that's crazy to me.
I'm not saying it's right.
I'm sorry, have you seen Ed Oliver?
Right. I think that that the teams picking in the top are probably looking elsewhere, like in terms of position. Mm-hmm. Like it's not. I think Kennan Williams and Nick Bosa are probably the only defensive linemen that are like universally ahead of him and on some draft boards. But I think like you look at somebody like obviously the Cardinals with the number 1 pick, maybe Kyler Murray. The 49ers probably taking Nick Bosa, and it's like I don't like it because I feel like you just take the best player. So like I look at the team like the Jaguars or something, and they're probably looking, I don't know, they got Nick Foles, so they might be looking quarterback or they might be looking elsewhere, but I'm like, take Ed Oliver at 7. Like, what are you doing?
Like, why would you
Why are you overthinking this?
Yeah, don't overthink. Somebody even wrote an article with the headline, "Don't overthink Ed Oliver."
Right.
It's like, he's awesome. Yeah. He'll be like a mainstay on your defense for 8 years.
Yeah.
Go get him.
It's something about I think it's like he's also kind of an undersized defensive tackle, but I was like, I don't care, so is Aaron Donald.
Yeah, and Aaron Donald's like the best player in the league.
Yeah.
You mentioned Cliff Kingsbury and the Arizona Cardinals have the number 1 overall pick. There are still rumblings that Kyler Murray could go number 1 to them, or they could make a trade and get out of there. Kyler Murray, this is probably an important moment for me to take a step back and to look directly into the camera and say I was wrong about Kyler Murray. I've been, and this has been an opinion I've held pretty much since he was a senior in high school, that I thought that his best way that he could be a professional athlete would be playing baseball. Now, he's still an awesome baseball player. That's why the A's drafted him.
Right.
But I thought I plain and simple. I thought he was too small to play quarterback in the NFL. I think Baker Mayfield has helped. I think that there is now less of a. I think NFL franchises are smartly paying more attention to how good you are at football instead of how well you fill out the uniform. But in any case, I've been pretty wrong about that because I thought I was pretty certain. I was like, man, I just don't know if he's big enough.
Sure.
Like he's obviously supremely talented, but I just don't know if the NFL is going to be able to get over his size. Obviously, it sounds like they have.
Yeah.
At least he's a guy who's definitely not escaping the top 10.
Yeah. I think that when his measurements came out, everybody kind of took a sigh of relief because like he was always listed as like 5'11", but everyone was like, is he really 5'8"?
Yeah.
But then like his measurements came out, it was like he's like 5'10". It's like, okay, like
Yeah.
he's not like really short.
Yes.
he's like, people thought like there were some theories that were like, he's really 5'8", 5'7", and like no, he's an average human being.
Yes.
Like he's not Doug Flutie.
Yeah.
And so I think I think if the Cardinals take him, that's probably the best situation. Like in terms of like if you want to get the most out of Kyler Murray, you want somebody like Cliff working with him and a team that's going to put everything around him to help him succeed.
Well,
I don't know if it'll work, but I hope so. He's fun to watch.
Well, and it seems like that's the Cardinals seem like they are trying to follow in a lot of respects the Rams kind of formula, which is we're going to have a head coach and we're going to give him a lot of control over the roster.
Right.
He's going to be coach and kind of co-general manager. And it sounds like that's what Arizona wants to do with Cliff, and they want to say, listen, you get to determine what our future looks like.
And it's kind of in the mold of hiring young offensive minds and like hiring a veteran defensive guy to just like, hey, you just take care of that side. He'll worry all about, because they hired Vance Joseph, former Broncos coach, to be a defensive coordinator. So it was like, hey, you worry about all of that side, and Cliff will work on Kyler and work on this offense and make him score 50 points a game.
And so it's going to be really interesting. And I think that when they hired Cliff Kingsbury, the Cardinals said, all right, like we've got Josh Rosen. But if he's not your guy, like we're willing, and there's something to be said for that. So that is the only two Texas high school football products that CBS lists as going in the first round. There are other guys who I think are on that fringe that maybe would be a little bit of a leap. One of them is Eric McCoy, the lineman from Lufkin and Texas A&M. He is. I think there's a fair argument to say that he was. Obviously Travion Williams was incredible. I think there's a fair argument to say Eric McCoy was their best player last year.
Sure,
he was so good. Like Eric McCoy for A&M was really, really good, and he's going to make He's going to make a living in the NFL for a while. Also, kind of in that range, former 5-star offensive lineman out of Allen, Greg Little. There could be two guys from the Allen class of 2000 and I guess I was 14. 15. 2015 was technically when they graduated. That could go in the top like 50, which is crazy.
That is insane. Yeah.
Let's go to Iowa State.
Yeah.
Whoosh 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 whoosh
About
whoosh.
time.
Hakeem Butler, the wide receiver who personally victimized the Big 12 over the course of the season. He's of course from Fort Bend Travis. They have him going number 52.
I've seen him second round, kind of project around that range. So.
But he's a freak show, and he was super good at Fort Bend Travis, and Iowa State took a chance on him. Obviously, came up paces. A guy we became awful familiar with, the defensive side at Alabama, West Orange Stark safety Deontay Thompson. They have going number 57.
Can I
overall.
tell a Deontay Thompson story?
And here with the Deontay Thompson story is our esteemed producer, Max Thompson.
West Orange Stark loses to Gilmer in that just unbelievable comeback in 2014.
Yep.
Deontay Thompson, in the post-game press conference, breaks down crying and apologizes to the people and fans of West Orange Stark for letting them down.
Wow.
He has graduated from Alabama, and now he is going to be drafted in the NFL. I think you've made them all proud.
I think you're doing okay, buddy.
I think you're all right, buddy.
Speaking of guys we saw in state championship games, from the small school ranks, how about TCU defensive lineman L.J. Collier out of Monday?
Monday Mogul.
A guy who played with Rashad Paul, or I'm sorry, not DePaul rather.
Yeah,
DePaul at Monday. L.J. Collier certainly made a name for himself there at TCU. They have him going number 73 overall out of TCU. L.J. Collier, a guy that certainly passes the eyeball test. That's a big old boy coming out of a small school. Staying on the defensive line, Texas defensive lineman Charles Omenihu out of Rowlett. I know Doug Stevens will be keeping a very close eye on the NFL draft, probably on. It sounds like he's a second or third rounder, so on Friday, Rowlett will put another one in the NFL as Charles Omenihu will certainly go in the top 100. They have him listed at number 82. Our first tight end off the board, not the tight end you are going to be paying most attention to, but Flower Mound Marcus's Caden Smith out of Stanford. Surprise, surprise. Stanford has a tight end.
Yeah.
He will probably go in the top 100. Also, another offensive lineman from Allen, Bobby Evans out of Oklahoma. They have listed to go 106th overall.
What year was he out of?
I want to say he was, because Little and Murray are leaving a year early.
Right.
I want to say he was a year older than that. I want to say he was a senior this year. I may have
this
that wrong.
says 2015.
So they're going to have 3.
Oh my God!
They could have theoretically
2 from the offensive line.
They have him going 106th overall. It is certainly not outside the realm of possibility for him to creep up in the top.
Well,
100.
this brings up an interesting point about Kyler Murray. He's had amazing offensive lines in high school and in college.
Oh, absolutely.
That's going to be something to really watch.
And the other thing
because
is,
not even incredible, amazing, elite offensive lines.
Well, and what's funny is that you go back to when he was at A&M.
Yeah.
And obviously his time at A&M was not up to the Kyler Murray standard. Let's say. I think A&M fans would look at that offensive line and say, it was okay, but it wasn't great. And you talk about what he needs to succeed. He needs a great offensive line. Arizona needs a little bit of help on the offensive line.
Yeah.
But it'll be very, very interesting to see. But you could very theoretically, you could very reasonably could have 3 players from Allen's class of 2015, that 2014 title team that won at AT&T Stadium over Cy Ranch. Is that right?
Was it 2014?
Yes, the last one was Cy Ranch, I believe.
Thank you. They could have 3 players drafted in the top 100. That's crazy.
Decent.
Other guys, other people they have listed. Isaiah Johnson, the corner out of Brian Rudder, the Houston cornerback. They have 110th. Rodney Anderson, remember him? Running back from Katy.
Yeah.
It went Rodney Anderson, and then it was DeAndre Glass, and DeAndre Glass is now entering his senior year. Mm-hmm. Rodney Anderson out of Oklahoma, the running back, they have going 112th, 114th. Chris Boyd, speaking of Gilmer, speaking of guys who played Deontay Thompson, Chris Boyd, the corner from Texas, they have going 114th. Ben Banagu, the Prosper defensive end out of TCU, 127th overall. Jarrett Stidham, who, of course, had an eventful college career. Let's put it that way. But Jarrett Stidham out of Stephenville and Auburn, they have projected to go 138th overall. Travion Williams, who was, the more you watch him, go back and watch his film from 2018.
He was so good this year.
He was unbelievable.
So
Travion Williams out of Houston C.E. King, another a guy who was a stud there at C.E. King at A&M. He will go 100. They say 142nd, and right behind him, another A&M guy, Dalen Mack. And it's so interesting to me that Travion Williams was a big time prospect coming out of A&M, or coming out of Houston C.E. King. But Dalen Mack was like a big time 5-star dude.
That was their guy that year.
That was the guy that everybody was really excited about.
Yeah.
They have him basically slotted exactly the same, which is very, very interesting. But Dalen Mack out of Gladewater expected to go in the mid 100s. Same with DeMarcus Lodge. DeMarcus Lodge out of Ole Miss and Cedar Hill, a guy who was a freak show for Cedar Hill for a couple of years, led them to a state championship. They have him going 159th. Divine Ozigbo, the running back out of Nebraska, the Saxy product, they have him going in the top 200. Same with Lil Jordan Humphrey, the receiver out of Southlake Carroll and Texas. They have him going 175th. Other guys to keep an eye on. Defensive end Max Crosby out of Eastern Michigan, the Colleyville Heritage product is probably going to go sometime in the later rounds. At this point, we're probably talking about Saturday. Keep an eye on him. Keep an eye on Daniel Wise, the Kansas defensive lineman out of Hebron. Hey, look at that. Brian Brazel putting another kid in the NFL. Fort Bend Marshall cornerback Kendall Sheffield out of Ohio State, projected to go on Saturday. Same goes with Antoine Wesley, the wide receiver from Cibolo Steel and Texas Tech. Antoine Wesley was awful good for Texas Tech in 2018. Imagine somebody's going to take a flyer on him. Plano East defensive end Landis Durham out of Texas A&M, a guy who had moments there at Texas A&M, but I think that people thought that he could have, between that class with him and Dalen Mack and that big defensive line, he ended up being pretty good. I think that there were expectations that he would maybe be a little bit better, but in any case, they have him going on Saturday as well. Same goes for Alex Wesley, the wide receiver out of Wiley, and Northern Colorado. Alex Wesley projected to go. Another defensive lineman out of Texas A&M, Kingsley Kiki from Richmond George Ranch, who was such a big part, if I remember correctly. He was on that 2015? Was he on that 2015 team, or did he graduate the year before?
That's a good question.
Great question. Anyway, they have him going on Saturday. Same goes for Arlington Martin's defensive end Justin Hollins out of who went to Oregon. Remember, of course, he at one point was teammates, although I think he'll be senior and sophomore with Myles Garrett. And then 2 linebackers projected to go very, very late. Texas A&M linebacker, Texas Tech linebacker Dakota Allen out of Humble Summer Creek projected to go very, very late. And finally, a Dave Campbell's Texas football favorite, Josiah Tauefa, the linebacker out of Lake Dallas and UTSA. He deserves to get drafted.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, if you want a productive, hard-nosed linebacker who's got a ton of big-time college experience, go draft Josiah Tauefa.
He's leaving early for a reason.
Yeah, go draft Josiah Tauefa. Do not let him hit the UDFA wire because you will regret it.
Interesting note on that, by the way, from our viewer John Williamson. Check this stat out, he says. Over the past 8 years, Lake Dallas has had Darrell Williams, OU. Now Carolina Panthers, James Franklin, Mizzou, Vikings, and now in the Canadian Football League. Dalen Williams, Dartmouth, then Bears. And now Josh Tauefa, University of Minnesota. Others have gone on to college at every level.
Yeah.
Pretty good for Lake Dallas. Like a program you wouldn't think off the top of your head.
No, absolutely. They've put out some big time guys. So obviously this weekend is a big day, big couple of days for NFL fans, but obviously for us as well and Texas high school football fans. We'll keep an eye on all the Texas high school football products that will go. And of course, PaniniAmerica.net is where you can check out. They will have cards for those guys pretty much immediately.
Oh, heck
so
yes, they will.
PaniniAmerica.net is where you can check that out. But we're very excited about the NFL draft. We'll have a full recap for you on Monday.
If you're that excited, we've got some questions about the NFL draft.
Gasp.
Hey, buckle up. Miziel wants to know over-under on the Texas FBS players going in the first round.
So these
Yes,
Texas,
the first
okay.
FBS players.
Over under, what was it?
What is it? Name one. Give one.
Name the over under, or
let's see. Hold on. I'm pulling this up. I'm going to see because the thing is, we listed the Texas high school football products.
Right.
There are guys who
are not,
who aren't there. But let's see. Is there anybody else that's projected to go in the first round?
Yeah, that's the tricky part. I'd have to be tempted to be like.
It might just be 2.
Two might be your number.
I think 2's the number. That there might be another guy who sneaks in there. Maybe somebody goes and they reach for a guy like.
I mean, would I be shocked?
Reach for a guy like Eric McCoy.
I was about to say, would I be shocked if Eric McCoy is like 32nd?
No, I wouldn't be. But I would say no. The over/under is probably 2 Texas FBS kids as well as 2 Texas high school football kids. Yeah. But again, it is possible that a guy like Eric McCoy sneaks up into that first round.
Mizia also wants to know the only fitting day to ask this: the TFT opinion on the movie Draft Day. Haven't seen it.
It's fine. It's not incredible. It's not.
It's got the guy from Waterworld in it, right?
Kevin Costner.
Yeah, yes. That's what I know Kevin Costner from.
Yeah.
But it's fine. Like it's Kevin Costner playing the greatest GM ever, who knows how to swindle everyone. It's fine. It's an entertaining movie that kind of more or less. I mean, it's the only movie about the draft. It's kind of entertaining in that respect.
Does it happen in the same universe as Waterworld?
Yes, it does.
Is it like
many years later?
It's a spiritual sequel to Waterworld.
Many years later, he is a nomad across the world on those weird rusty wave runners or whatever that he makes.
Awesome.
They exist in the same universe, pretty sure.
I don't hate the movie. I think it's entertaining.
He also wants to know, predict the bust. If you guys had to pick one guy in the draft this year who you don't think is going to pan out, who would it be? Doesn't have to be a Texas guy.
No, well, I'm not going to pick a Texas guy. I'm not
Why would you do that?
Yeah,
Why would you do that?
Wish that bad luck on
All right. I'll say it. I think Dwayne Haskins is overrated.
Oh. Well, it is Ohio State, so I'll allow it.
I like Dwayne Haskins.
I like Dwayne Haskins a lot, but I don't know. There were times.
There's the easy ones there. Like, I don't want to just say Daniel Jones is it Daniel Jones? Whatever his name
or actually,
the Duke kid.
Boy, you know what? Actually, I want to take that back because I have another quarterback.
Oh, do you? I think I know who you're gonna say.
It's Drew Lock.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Missouri here.
Listen,
doesn't-
hi. I went to
Yeah.
Mizzou. Drew Lock feels a lot like Blaine Gabbert to me.
Yeah, right.
Like there's a
Yeah.
lot of parallels.
Yeah.
So that would be my pick.
I don't think I have a hot take. I think I just have. Oh, who's the? Is it Metcalf or N'Keal Harry, the one that can't run left or right? Like they can run.
He has Zoolander
Is it
syndrome.
N'Keal Harry? I can't remember. There's one of them that has
Harry,
like insane sprint speed,
Yeah.
but then like once he has to change direction, he
That
turns
sounds
to like
right.
a 7th-round pick, basically.
That sounds right.
I was like, yeah, sure, that guy's definitely not being
He's
in the
Darius
NFL.
Hayward.
I was about
Bay.
to say he's
Yeah.
Darius Hayward Bay or Ted Ginn.
Yeah.
Pretty